Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel and my creative arts studio. I'm Lisa, and this video is going to cover instructions for creating the masculine card that is in my May class by mail. I'm using the A Good Man stamp set. I love this one. I love the 3 different masculine images, and also the words are great. We're going to use the one on this card that says being a good dad starts with being a good man. I love that. I grew up loved, it's your day, you do a great job of being a great guy, and others. So it's a great set that we're going to use. And in your kit, you will have your base card, 2 pieces of Misty Moonlight cardstock, and 3 pieces of patterned paper, double-sided patterned paper. There's 3 of those, and there's a reason that there's more. A piece of light green cardstock, Misty Moonlight cardstock, your masculine stamped image. This has been stamped in Stays On ink, the jet black Stays On ink, and the reason is I wanted to use an ink that will allow for watercoloring. So just keep in mind that you can't use alcohol markers like the Stampin' Blends markers with Stays On ink. So you'll need to color with something other than the alcohol ink markers. And then another smaller piece of Misty Moonlight cardstock with the sentiment stamped also in Misty Moonlight. One of the things I love about Stampin' Up! Is that color coordination between ink and cardstock. So it looks really good. And if you don't want this word, this sentiment, you can flip it and use another stamp of yours and stamp something else. You can just do it in black. Everything will coordinate that way. And if you don't have any other stamps and you don't want this sentiment, you could also run some cardstock through a printer and use a different sentiment for your card. Or you can leave it blank. So lots of options. You also have a piece of blue twine and a little silver heart, and both of those will be optional for creating this card. Okay, so let's get started, and let's start by building the main part of the card before we go into any of the watercoloring. So as I mentioned, we've got 2 pieces of the Misty Moonlight cardstock, but 3 pieces of pattern paper. We're going to use 2 of those mounted onto that cardstock, and then this one we're going to flip over and use the back just for another piece of interest, because the card looked a little bare in one spot. So that's what we're going to do. All right, so let's go ahead and attach these 2 pattern papers to the cardstock. So just adding some Stampin' Seal on here and centering these on the piece of cardstock. And same with this one. Just try to get equal borders around that piece. And then you're going to take your card and fold it in half. It should be scored already. So fold it in half, and then we're going to make a Z fold. So we're going to take the front panel and fold it in half this way. Okay, so again, your card is now in half, folded in half, and this would be your normal type of card, either vertically like this or horizontally like this. But we're going to make a Z fold by taking the front panel and folding it back on itself. Okay, so just fold that back, give it a nice crease. And you can also add a nice crease right here on that center fold as well. And so this now creates what we call a Z-fold card. Okay, it's kind of really nice. It'll just a little bit different. And I made this card to be a vertical Z fold, but you could still do it this way. So again, options for you. So I'm going to go ahead and attach these panels to the card. Okay, so we've got this panel. I'm going to add this to the very front top of the card, trying to, again, just trying to keep equal borders. Doesn't have to be perfect, like this one is not perfect. I also have some kind of goopy thing going on there. Don't know what that's from. Okay, so we've got that panel on, and then we're going to put the second panel in here. This is just optional. I don't always put extra cardstock or patterned paper on the inside, but I thought this would be nice here. So I'm going to add this one right here. Just trying to keep everything lined up as best I can. Again, I never worry about perfection. This is a handmade card, so it's supposed to not be perfect. It's not made by a machine. So now we have our Z fold again, which could go either way. Totally your call, okay, on how you want to do it. So there's our little Z fold card. And then this is going to be built like this and sit on the front. And this is where I felt like it's kind of a little bit bare there, so I wanted to add a little bit more. So, you know, the beauty of double-sided pattern paper is you have a second side that typically coordinates. So we're just going to add this one down here. I didn't want to go and add another cardstock panel. I just wanted something just subtle and simple down there, just to cover up a little bit of the, although it's very vanilla, something we call white space. So again, just gonna try and line up this right there. It just adds a little more, as you can see. Then it's adds a little more interest to that card and not quite as much white space. All right, so if you're gonna use this sentiment, you can go ahead and attach that to the Misty Moonlight cardstock. And then my thought was to sort of center this right here. However you want to put it on, I did want it to be covered up by this image on the front so that it's a hidden message until you open the card. So that was my idea. Again, if you decide to go sideways with your Z fold, this works as well, right? You can go this way. Also a great looking card. So I'm going to do it this direction. Go ahead and put this down, and I'm going to just center it this direction and this direction on this piece, like so. Okay. Then you can go ahead and put the Misty Moonlight onto this light green cardstock. I gave a wider margin on the green than what will be on the blue, so you can see that it's a little bit wider. I'm just going to set that aside for a minute. Don't glue that down yet because we want to add some twine as well. So now we're going to go ahead and color this image. If you don't have any coloring tools, it will be fine just like that. But if you have something, colored pencils, markers, crayons, you know, any type of coloring tool. If you just have ink pads, you've seen where you can squeeze the lid, and then when you open it up, there's ink on the inside right here. Or you can go ahead and take your ink pad and just tap it onto like a non-porous surface and use that for coloring. So lots of coloring options. I'm going to use the Stampin' Up watercolor pencil crayons. I've been using these a little more often and really enjoying them. So, and I went pretty simple. I just pulled out 3 colors, Night of Navy, Early Espresso, and Cherry Cobbler. And I'm going to just show you how you can do this. So again, just trying to be simple with 3 simple colors. The blue will work in well with this, and then the Cherry Cobbler just kind of adds a little pop. So I'm going to start by putting down some color on the hat. I want the hat to be a little bit darker, so I'm going to use brown in 3 different locations on this image. And I'm going to do them all in different strengths or tones. Okay, so I've got a fair bit on the hat. I'm going to just add a little bit on the chair. So try and get those spots behind the man on the chair. Okay, so just colored a few little spots there. And then I'm going to go really light on the bottom for the sand. Okay, and see how I just kind of just scribble it on real quick like that. Just scribble it on. That's what I love about watercolor pencil crayons, is once you add the water, it's going to blend all those lines out. It looks really pretty. So now with the Cherry Cobbler, I thought I'd give him a nice red shirt. So I'm going to add some darker lines around the edge of his shirt, and also on the spots that the artist has shown as darker areas. So see, I'm just getting that down, and then I'm going to just add some color to the shirt, just like that. Super simple. That's pretty quick. And then come in with the blue, same thing, some dark around the edges and around the lines that the artist has used. And I want that to be pretty dark for the shorts. Okay, so now I'm using a water brush. I love the water brush because for me, it is ready to go. It's got a little tube here that you fill with water. You just open this up like this and fill this with water. And then it's on my desk and ready to go. If you don't have a water brush, you can just use a paintbrush and a little cup of water. So water comes out of this, and I'm gonna try and keep it a little bit light right now. I'm gonna light as in not too much water, because this is not watercolor paper, so I don't want to add too much water and make it sort of warp. I'm gonna start at the bottom with the lightest color, and see how I just go over this and it just spreads that colored pencil out. Super simple. And because I'm still working with brown, I don't need to clean my brush. Now I'm going to come in here and do the same thing on the chair. And all I'm doing is just spreading out that color, making it look nice and smooth. Okay, and if you get a little bit, see how I just pulled a little bit of that red in there? Have a little eraser with you and just clean that up. And then I can go over it with, make sure I've got the brown, to make sure it looks brown. Okay, and then the last thing I'm going to do is this hat. Can you see how it just, the water just smooths that out? I just love that. Just makes coloring really fast and easy, and then you can just smooth, and then you get this nice effect of like shadows, because you put the dark at one edge and then just spread it out. So I hope you can see that, how that looks. Okay, now I'm going to clean my brush, because, and all I'm doing is just wiping it off on paper towel. If you're concerned, you can just check it on your paper that no color's coming off. You can also push on the edge to get more water to help clean it. Okay, I'm ready to move on to my next color. I'm going to do a shirt next. There, that's maybe a lot easier to see how it just spreads that color out. And so even though I just kind of scribbled some color down on this image, because they're watercolor pencils, as soon as you add the water, it just makes it look really smooth. And you can also come back. So, you know the saying, right? Like less is more. Like start with less and then you can build. So I can come back in now and add more color to this. If I wanted the shirt to be even darker red. And because there's some water on this, even when I'm coming in now, it's going down pretty smooth. You can see that in the camera. It's going down pretty smooth. And then again, you can come back with your brush and still smooth that out even more. So as long as your tools, whether they're, a type of crayon or pencil, colored pencil, as long as they're water-based, you can do this technique. If you don't have colored pencils that you want to use the watercolor technique, but you have water-based colored pens like markers, what you can do is similar to the ink, is you can just scribble marker onto a non-porous surface like an acrylic block, and then just pick up color with your brush and paint. Okay, and I have a video on watercoloring techniques that shows you how to do that. And then finally I'm going to come in here now that I clean my brush and finish off the image with the blue shorts. Get a really nice smooth look. And there we go, we're all finished. Okay, and it's really pretty dry because I didn't use a lot of water on this, so the piece stayed nice and flat. I'm going to go ahead and attach this to my panel. If you did get any warping at all in your cardstock, if you had a little bit too much water, once you go and put this down, you can get it nice and flat. And then it should stay just fine for you. Okay, there we go. So we have that. Now before I put it down, I want to add this twine. I'm going to add some twine in this heart. And again, remember, this is optional. So what I'm going to do is just start over here, and I'm going to wrap twice. And then what I want to do is I want to tie the heart on over here at the edge. Now here's a little tip when you're working with twine. Once you know sort of where you want it, I think I kind of want it around the bottom like that. Not totally covering up his feet, but a little bit. You can go ahead and put some adhesive in the back here like this. Just be careful with this. I wouldn't put too much because this piece is not going to be attached to the card. This piece is going to be loose, so just be careful with that, but a little bit really helps you kind of keep everything in place while you're working. So hold it over here like this, wrap it into that adhesive, wrap it around again, back into that adhesive, and then here's where you'll want it for this card. Just sort of make sure that there isn't any adhesive sort of sticking out that's going to catch on the card. Okay, so you just want to tap that a little bit with your finger, spread out that twine, and then you've got it laying down flat for you so that it's easy to work with. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the heart on here, and I'm going to let the heart just sort of float anywhere on the front here. I'm not going to worry about tacking it down just at the edge, but I am going to tie my knot right here at the edge. Like so. And, you know, you can set the heart there, but I'm okay with it moving around. So there's that. And then I'm going to clip, let's see, there's a pair of scissors, a pair of tiny ones. I'm going to clip this twine a little bit shorter. And then the other thing you can do with the twine, if you want a little bit more interest, is you can actually kind of untwist a little bit of it. And then, so kind of pull those fibers apart. That's a nice look too. Especially for a guy card, you know, you're not making big bows and things like that. Just a simple knot, but it is fun to kind of do that. And then you've got a little more interest there with that twine. Okay, so now this piece is ready and we're going to attach it to the card. If you're doing your card this way, which your image would be the other direction, you want adhesive just on this edge, okay, right here, to place down here. You just don't want any adhesive here where the card is moving open. Okay. I'm doing mine vertically, so my adhesive is just going to be on the top. And I'm going to do just a little less than the top half. So put a nice piece across here, and I'm not going to go down as far as half, somewhere in between. And if you want a little extra just to make sure it holds nicely, and then go ahead and place this down, try centering it left to right, and then press that down. And now there's your Z-fold card. And I just like how it finishes it off. You know, when it's open, it looks really nice like that too. And then you've still got plenty of room to write a message on here. And it will be hidden. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed that card. Thank you for stopping by.